roof number 2. No, it's still the first roof. But part 2. Crane set up. Now we got to load up the tools or the Slate caddy fork attachment for the crane. Put some tools on it and hope it doesn't rain. Tight, don't want that to unscrew. So as soon as we started loading up to go up on the roof and do some slate, you can see all the drips and the that are going on the window of my car because it started raining. We'll wait a few minutes, look at the weather radar, and see if it's gonna clear up or not. Oh well, there's always something else to work on. But we'll be back. Well, looks like we might be in the clear. Looks like everything is south of us. So after this little shower, we should be able to dry things off and go up there. Yeah, it's raining pretty good now. So, good thing I'd rather be standing inside than outside. the scaffolding. And we'll get ready to put some felt paper down in this area, and then some slate. So yesterday we were working on this a bit. We got the felt paper put down, and then getting these initial slates started was taking just a really long time, and so I didn't end up filming it. But we got a starter course underneath, and then we got our first row here, and now we're going on to the second row. The first row still needs a little triangle here, and what I'm realizing is this side of the roof had all different width slates, and I think what they were doing is they were getting it to line up where they didn't have such a small one small slate there in the valley area. So we might have to try and do that as well, but we'll see how it goes. So far so good. I mean, they're coming out okay. Oh, we got to draw centers on this. On this? Oh yeah, okay. Can you draw centers on the top of these ones going up the side as well?
Yeah. I don't know if that piece is thick enough.
This one?
Yeah.
Well,
That
out
seems like
here,
a big piece, but...
yeah, out here it's not going to be much. It's towards this center where there's going to be accumulation of, or snow buildup anyway. This way, this can follow this line going up. This is my gauge that I made. I took a drywall T-square and cut it off to 8.5 because we have an 8.5-inch exposure, and it worked pretty good going across the back of the house here. I don't want to put, I can't put a nail out this far, so I forgot to.
You'll notice that there
Oh, no, we got to clip the corners. And that's how easy it is putting these nail holes in. Now, when nailing the slate, you don't nail them tight. So if you do, it'll just cause it to crack across here. They almost hang like a picture hangs. So it's more appropriate to say you hang slate, because they just, you know, they're not held in tight with the nail. So not only do you want to not nail too tight, but the nail needs to be in this recessed area, or else the other slate on top will, it could cause it to break if it's laying on the nail at a pressure point. coming along. Comes along slow. You know, if we had a group of guys doing this, it would probably get knocked out pretty quick, but you know, we take our time and try to fit everything as best as it'll fit, and then backtrack after we make mistakes. So, you know, but it's good. It's nice being up here today. Again, there's a breeze and it's a sunny day, and up high I get to watch traffic going by a little bit, and just kind of a nice view. Well, time for the next one. Whatever board is going across here is a little soft. Kind of prying off that nail, but it went in so easy. It went in so easy, it was gonna not be very difficult to pull out either. Normally I don't put that many holes in it, but so we don't have to get all the nails in and find the last one is going in soft. These nails go in and they get to a point where you hit them and they bounce back. Oh, drove that nail right through the slate. Well, whatever board is above it certainly works better. Usually they're not this much trouble. Well, that one went a little easier. So while I can fill up here with full slates that are ready, I'd rather wait a little bit and keep working off of one side, so we don't have to trim the sides of the slate if it's the space is too wide or too narrow, or try to find a wider slate if the space is too wide. Oh, that's a nice heavy one. No. So today we put did the other side of the felt paper, 30-pound felt paper. And while it should go horizontal to the eave or to the edge of the roof, we decided it was going to be easier and didn't see much detriment with it going in this pattern. So now time to start do a starter course of Slate on there. So today's the 4th of July, and but not only that, all weekend that we do this, we see people driving classic cars, motorcycles, people riding bicycles, people jogging. And so sometimes, when it's frustrating, we're doing some portion that's frustrating, like I was trying to nail in this piece of felt paper, and I just kept sliding down the valley, and I put a couple more creases in the valley, which it won't matter once the copper dulls out. You won't see it, but I try to I like to try and get everything perfect. And of course, that's creases in copper is not perfect. Or it's not really creases, but bends. So frustrating times like that, I'd rather be out cruising somewhere than doing this. Woke up this morning, wasn't too inspired, but knew we had a day, and
Thank you so much for joining me.
And we just need to get as far as we can with it, because it's got to get done. And one day we'll finish the roof and then not have to worry about it for a long time. But it is, I don't know. I don't think it's jealousy. It's just, but seeing everybody else out cruising around, I want to do that too. But, when we get something accomplished on this, I feel good about it. Better than if I went out and felt good for the moment. I'd feel better about the gratification on making an accomplishment with the roof.
If it means anything, after forms take shape,
But I still like the view. Look at the clouds going across the mountain over there. I think that's Mount Williams. Yeah, it's a neat house, but it needs a lot of work still. The slates we have are 12 inches wide, and the problem I was just pondering about here is the space we have, and it leaves a little 3-inch corner right there. And while going up the other side over here all the way up, we had little corners that we would make and put in, and to do that we would have to make the corner and drill a couple holes in it and drill through this and then hammer it in. And I was worried about that, because the ice hangs off the bottom here, and you know that's where ice is gonna hang. And I'm thinking, boy, it's if I could find a 15-inch, or it's 15 inches from over here to over there, and if I could find a slate that was 15 inches, I would have preferred to use that. But I don't have any, and so I said, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to make the little triangle. But the good thing here, and it's not a but, yeah, that's just an overused word, but anyway, what we realized is the ridge roll that goes on is going to totally cover that little triangle. So even though we're still going to put the triangle in, the ridge roll is going to cover it. So that'll be good, really good. Happy about that. Glad to have the ridge roll, because I wanted to use as, you know, a narrow bottom here as possible, to use the biggest slate there, and I don't mind because it leaves a small gap up here. You know, that little triangle that's missing, and that's fine. That's not going to be a problem. It's not going to catch anything, or I can't foresee any detriment to that. And then we can use one full slate over here, and then you know, another triangle here that's going to be cut the way this one is. You can see the line that I scored in it, and then underneath the ridge roll is going to be one little triangle. And yeah, so that's where we're going now. Yeah, it's taken me a long time to get this first section, but to me, getting it started in the correct direction is it's very critical, that everything is lining up correctly. Because if you get something wrong here, you're probably going to carry an error all the way through to the top. And I think we've got this pretty good, where it will it'll look good. Is it perfect? Well, nothing's really perfect. We're not using micrometers and any dial gauges or anything to set this up, but it's going to be pretty darn good, and then it'll be done. So that's where we're going. So here we go with cutting a piece of slate. So there we go. You know, we end up with all this normally we put it on a slate and dump it off onto the driveway. Find a place to dump it that's not going to land on a car. Huh. How did I get that so wrong?
American music, the romantic symphony number.
I mean, it would work, but it's not what I want.
For the 50th anniversary of the Boston Symphony Orchestra. That was Gerard Schwartz.
Is it because it's under the ridge roll that you did it like that?
No, well, I didn't do it like this purposely.
Inspiration for John Williams.
All right, well, hang on. Okay, so this piece that I put in here, what I'm thinking is I used the wrong side of the ruler, because really I wanted to do that and see where the 12 is. Whoops. How did I do? Oh, all right, so I had the ruler like this, and this top corner here is where I want the slate to end. So I move this down, and then, so I think I was reading the wrong side of the ruler. See how where the 2 is and where the 4 is? I should have been reading the 4 because that's the parallel line up here, and that's measures the outside. But I think I read the 2 and 3/8 or whatever it is, and so it cut it down here. So now we have another piece that we cut. That's all right. And let's see how that fits. Yeah, that fits. That fits good. And it's still got some zip tape residue on it, so that's okay. All right, so we're gonna get that nailed in. Gosh darn flies. I don't know what it is the past couple days, but there's a lot of flies. All right, so we're gonna nail this in, and then we're gonna drill it. Now normally we wouldn't be drilling, but and the reason being is because there's no area like that for the nail head to recess into. But over here, it's under the ridge roll and it's not going to be touching, so the nail head being on top of the surface instead of below the surface won't matter. Let's see. And we got to drill through 2 slate to do it. I could use those holes. Got a little masonry bit, and it goes right through pretty quick. We had a cheap masonry bit, and we would sit there, and it would start developing smoke, and we got a new bit, and wow, what a difference. It works. But you don't want to drill into the wood with it, because you want the nail to actually hold on. I really don't even know if I should bother trying to put a triangle in here, because it's going to be way under the ridge roll, wherever the ridge roll went to. Oh, yeah. Overhang. I don't think that's gonna matter. Anything that gets over here is just gonna drip right off into the gutter anyway. And this is what is gonna end up. This area of rain hitting is like the only way it'll get down there. It's not gonna come across. It's not gonna come from over there, because it just goes straight down. You know, and this one goes straight down as well, and that's how they end up in the valley to channel the water. But yeah, I'm not going to bother with that. I'd rather leave this undrilled, and it'll be fine under the ridge roll. Okay. So this piece of slate here, it's a nice heavy piece of slate. It's a little thicker than the average ones, which I like to use for the bottom rows of slate. I mean, they're the ones that are going to have the ice hanging on them, and they're going to see more volume of water traveling over them. So I like to put those towards the bottom. But as you can see on this, somebody face nailed this one, and to hold it in place, which is obviously bad. You don't want to have a hole where it's going to leak water and eventually into a seam, because it's I don't know if it's about, yeah, it's right at where the top of the headlap is, so it could actually leak. Putting a nail there, because we use 3 inches of headlap at this angle of roof, and headlap is where there's 3 slates, so it's right above the headlap, and so water will go accumulate on the nail, and then over time more and more water goes into the house there. But so anyway, what we're going to do is we need a slate that's cut diagonal almost down to here, and so it's going to cut out that section that's been face nailed, because otherwise I would not put that in down here. I wouldn't even put it in up there. I just wouldn't use it. But now, since we have a position where we can cut it off, this is going to be a good slate, because I want a heavy slate for the position it's going in, because it's going to go right next to the valley. It's going to sit right in here, and I want a heavy slate. A thin slate, you know, with ice hanging off it and stuff, is just going to be more likely to have a problem. And you know, so I want to put the heavy slates near the bottom, where there's going to be the most ice build up and water travel, and so that's what we're going to do. So these thicker ones, so they take a little more effort to cut, but they're still easy to work with this slate guillotine. Slate guillotines on our slate caddy, so it gets to rocking and rolling and shaking, and you got to just work with the rhythm on it. So right, we're calling it a day for slate. It's after 6:30, I think. Yeah, a little after 6:30. So this is where we ended up. What we mostly got done today is what's on the left, and it takes a while, because every slate, every space it goes needs to get measured. Every slate needs to get trimmed. And you know, it's just we had to get in the routine of it. You know, guys that are professionals could have probably went all the way up to the top in the amount of time that we did. Quite a bit less than half, maybe 40% of where we're going to go up to. But it's coming out good. You know, I don't have any regrets on it. Doesn't look like I'm going to be doing any backtracking for an error that needs to get corrected. It just you know, it's coming out, and you know, we're using quite a few nails. You know, normally there's about 2 nails per slate, and some of these have gotten 4, and some have even gotten 6, because you go to put them in, and it lands in between a board, or it's just kind of soft, or down, you know, down in you know, that area down there. You know, I want to make sure that there's just a little bit of extra secure with more nails, because that's where the ice is going to be hanging on, you know, where it's just, that's where the ice buildup is. So we want a little bit extra there, but it's coming out. It's good. We got, you know, probably next weekend. So we're gonna do the design. Of course, it's gonna come around the corner here and then go across this way as well. I might move it up a row. I'm a little undecided because I think this in the back of the house here should have been 1 row higher. When I kind of mapped it out, I, for some reason, started a row early. And so, since it's going to go all the way around the house, and if someday when I have nothing else to do and it bugs me, I'll only have 1 section to correct. So if I go the rest of the way around the house 1 section higher, then that'll be where I want it. And I think that's what I'm going to do, but really, I got to take everything off the back here down to row 5. Row 5 would be the highest row that doesn't get touched. And that's a lot of work to do that. And the only time you would see this error is if you're up in the backyard and looking at the house. So I think I'm going to move it up, and then someday think about correcting the error. You know, maybe at that point. You know, I've had thoughts of putting a dormer on the back of the house, because in the attic, you can see it's very tall. From the attic floor to the peak, it's 17 feet. And you know, I'd like to put a pool table. I'd like to put, you know, build a model railroad. And this is all in the future, like probably more like with grandkids and stuff. Do a model railroad up here, because the rest of the house has got to get done first. The garage, I'd like to get done first. But you know, when we had the back open here where it was just rafters, it was really nice to have it, that openness to the air. So maybe that'll be one of the things, is someday put a dormer there and correct that line at the same time. So that'll be my excuse for, well, I wanted to correct that line, so we might as well put in a dormer, or gonna put in the dormer, so you know, now it's time to correct the line, if it ever happens, because may never get around to it. But yeah, I'm gonna lift the line for the rest of the house one row of slate, and I think that'll be a better, just a better separation, because it's 6 slate at the bottom, and then 7 slate for the middle, and then 7 slate for the top, and I think I would be better off with 7 slate on the bottom and 6 in the middle. And one of the other things is, I wanted that second line that's up there, I wanted it above this dormer, so when that wraps around the corner, it should go right above the dormer and across, instead of partially on the dormer. But you know, hey, I'm a slate roof newbie, and just do it in my spare time. And it's fun, learning as we go, my wife and I, and I would say it's quality time spent together, because we're building a house together, or rebuilding a house together, and it'll be nice when it's done. So anyway, that's it for today.